19 black R&B legends who died mysteriously and tragically. Under the dazzling stage lights, they were untouchable icons. Their voices became the anthems of a generation, bathed in a seemingly forgiving spotlight. But look closer at this golden illusion, and the truth begins to bleed. Behind the picture-perfect family facades and the glamorous smiles, a silent predator was waiting. This isn't just a story of fading stars, it's a chilling chronicle of the systemic blade at work. From fame's crushing pressure to unanswered questions and chilling speculation, we are counting down 19 voices that were silenced too soon. These aren't mere tragedies, they are 19 earth-shattering secrets that the industry tried to bury. Welcome to the dark side of Hollywood. Are you ready for the sudden drop? Jesse Belvin. It all began with a single signature on a tour contract. Jesse Belvin, the velvet-voiced prince of R&B, was basking in a golden illusion. He possessed a generational vocal talent, building a picture-perfect family life on the foundation of his early fame. But Jesse made one fateful choice. He decided his melodies would no longer be contained within the invisible walls of racial segregation. In 1960, he headlined the very first integrated concert in Little Rock, Arkansas. That one act of pure defiance summoned a merciless foe. The cheering had barely faded when the sudden drop arrived. Just hours after stepping out of the dazzling stage lights, the car carrying Jesse and his wife was found obliterated on a desolate highway. The local police hastily stamped the tragedy as a mechanical failure, citing a blown tire. Yet, an independent mechanic later uncovered an earth-shattering secret. The front tire had been deliberately tampered with. Prior to the fateful show, an anonymous, chilling note had warned him. If he sang for a mixed crowd, he would lose his voice forever. The tragedy was immediately followed by the swing of the systemic blade. Jesse's final master tape, a powerful ballad celebrating equality, mysteriously vanished from the label's archives and was never released. The ripple of that one brave decision didn't just cost him his life. It triggered an industry-wide erasure of his final message. He challenged the establishment, and they made sure his microphone was cut permanently. Yet, a sabotaged tire on a lonely midnight road is just one way to silence a revolutionary, especially when other artists found their ultimate demise swallowed by the freezing depths of a river. Billy Stewart. The entertainment industry is a machine designed to extract talent and discard the rebel. The systemic blade is always sharpened for those who refuse to be mere pawns. Billy Stewart, with his massive frame and unmistakable staccato vocals, was meant to be a profitable asset in their golden illusion. But he harbored a dangerous ambition: to expose the exploitation of black artists through a self-produced protest album titled Thick Soul. The establishment does not tolerate a voice that speaks out of turn. On a freezing day in 1970, Billy's tour bus plunged off a bridge into an icy river. Authorities quickly blamed icy roads, but the true raw agony lies in the erased evidence. Just hours prior, Billy reported to his stage manager that his vehicle had been tampered with overnight. That desperate warning was swept away by a system maintaining its ironclad control. The aftermath was a masterclass in corporate erasure. Following the funeral, his family found his home ransacked. Every single manuscript detailing the industry's earth-shattering secrets vanished. His label conveniently claimed absolute ignorance of his rebel project. The Giants insured his revolutionary track, asking, "If I don't sing it loud, will you still bury me silent?" was drowned forever. When the spotlight becomes a tool for oppression, the true cost of glory is paid in blood. A freezing river might wash away a sabotaged vehicle and swallow a visionary's cries, but the concrete steps of the city prove equally merciless when a bleeding saxophone player is left dying at his own front door. King Curtis. I am the brass horn that once wept for a generation, blowing life into the golden illusion of soul. On August 13, 1971, I rested in my case, still vibrating from recording Starlight Riot, a cry against police brutality. I felt the chill as my master approached his apartment, only to find a stranger blocking the door. The confrontation quickly dissolved into raw agony. I watched helplessly as a blade was driven twice into his chest. Warm blood washed over the cold stone like a horrifying, unfinished melody. Authorities dismissed it as a neighborhood dispute. Yet, I remember the 3 anonymous calls threatening to silence me forever if that track was released. Inside, an unsent letter held his earth-shattering secret. He knew the danger but refused to let children grow up in the dark. With his dying breath, the systemic blade struck. The label terminated his contract, burying our final song. When the lungs that give you purpose are violently punctured, a brass instrument is reduced to hollow metal, trapped in an eternal, terrifying silence. Blood pooling on a doorstep paints a grim portrait of assassination, yet the metallic scent of gunpowder feels equally suffocating when the walls suddenly shrink around a cramped, shadowy backstage dressing room. Johnny Ace. It starts with the cold, heavy steel of a .22 caliber revolver, a weapon that, according to everyone who knew him, never belonged in his hands. Johnny Ace was the undisputed prince of R&B ballads, selling a golden illusion of sweet romance to millions of swooning fans. Yet, behind the dazzling stage lights, he was drowning in the exhaustion of endless tours and exploitative contracts. The official record states that on Christmas Eve 1954, Johnny casually played Russian roulette in his dressing room and lost. But examine the forensic puzzle pieces, and the sudden drop reveals a much darker picture. The gun wasn't his. It belonged to a tour manager he had just fought with over stolen finances. Look closer at the timeline. Band members reported that just minutes before the fatal shot, Johnny was screaming in a heated argument with an unidentified stranger backstage. That shadow figure vanished into the night, never to be questioned. Then came the chilling anonymous letter sent to his grieving family, threatening that their silence was the only way to stay safe. The systemic blade swung swiftly, cutting down a 25-year-old icon and labeling a clear assassination as a foolish game. A gunshot wound leaves a distinct powder burn, but the true raw agony is a compromised crime scene where the bullet holds no name, and the truth is deliberately wiped away by a corrupt industry protecting its own. He didn't lose a game of chance. He lost his life to a calculated execution. The deafening echo of a backstage gunshot leaves behind an undeniable mess of blood and shattered glass. Yet, destruction can be far more methodical, quietly transforming an everyday vehicle into a suffocating, fiery tomb right in the middle of a sunlit driveway. Bobby Fuller. His body was found blistered and reeking of gasoline, slumped lifelessly in the front seat of his unlocked blue Dodge. It was a gruesome scene of raw agony where his face and wrists were covered in defensive bruises, and all identification had been meticulously stripped from his wallet. The local authorities swiftly slammed the file shut, labeling this horrifying spectacle a simple suicide by asphyxiation. But just months prior, Bobby was the immaculate, suited phenomenon of American radio, basking in the forgiving spotlight with his smash hit, I Fought the Law. He was the picture of a clean-cut rocker, an artist who seemed to have perfectly navigated the golden illusion of fame. Behind that bright smile, however, a silent predator was hunting him. Bobby was desperate to break free from his suffocating record label, allegedly threatening to expose the dirty, underground business dealings of industry executives. A week before his gruesome end, an anonymous fax warned him to write songs, not indictments. The sudden drop wasn't a product of depression. His family insisted he was cheerful and forward-looking. He was brutally silenced. The missing demo tapes that supposedly contained his whistle-blowing confessions were never found. The systemic blade didn't just end his life, it censored his legacy, forcing radio stations to pull his biggest hit under the guise of sensitivity. When the pursuit of creative freedom is punished by fire and silence, we must ask, how quickly does a star's light extinguish when it threatens to expose the darkness behind it? As the suffocating fumes of a rigged automobile seal the fate of one rebel on the ground, another kind of horror unfolds high above, where the freezing air of a New York skyline offers no parachute for a mind supposedly plummeting into madness. Donny Hathaway. For a genius like Donny Hathaway, the silent predator didn't merely hide in the shadows, it slowly devoured him from the inside out. Blessed with a mesmerizing, soulful tone, he was a true musical powerhouse wrapped in the golden illusion of 1970s stardom. Yet, beneath that warm exterior, Donny was locked in a relentless battle with intense paranoia, terrifying delusions, and the suffocating weight of fame's crushing pressure. He repeatedly warned colleagues that he was being stalked, terrified that an unseen force was plotting his destruction. In an era that routinely dismissed mental health struggles, these desperate cries were ignored as mere madness. On a freezing January night in 1979, the psychological haunting violently morphed into raw agony. After an incredibly positive recording session where he joked about touring again, Donny's body was discovered lifeless on the second-floor glass roof of a New York hotel. Authorities rapidly rubber-stamped his 15th-floor plummet as a tragic suicide. But the sudden drop spawned a tidal wave of unanswered questions and chilling speculation. The Essex House hotel windows were architecturally designed not to open wide enough for a human being to pass through. Before his terrifying descent, a loud, violent bang was heard from his room. Inside, the chilling scene revealed a freezing draft, a radio left playing, and a handwritten manuscript allegedly stating, "They want my voice but not my truth." Naturally, the systemic blade swung in the dark. That crucial document vanished instantly and the truth was buried. His spirit was meticulously dismantled by an exploitative machine long before his physical body was ever allowed to fall. A shattered pane of glass high in the clouds casts a terrifying shadow over the concrete below, yet the most calculated eliminations require no dizzying heights, unfolding instead with chilling precision beneath the blinding, sterile lamps of a surgical ward. Junior Parker. 48 hours of isolation. One supposedly routine procedure. Zero accountability. The systemic blade often calculates its kills strictly by the numbers, operating with lethal precision behind sterile doors. Junior Parker was a blues treasure, offering a forgiving spotlight of warmth for his loyal listeners, yet he remained a marginalized asset whose genius generated massive wealth for white artists who freely covered his tracks. In 1971 he was admitted for a minor surgery to relieve intracranial pressure, a procedure boasting a highly favorable statistical survival rate. But those comforting numbers rapidly plummeted into the sudden drop. The raw agony of his final days was violently hidden behind invisible walls, as doctors inexplicably barred his frantic family from his bedside for a full 2 days. An earth-shattering secret later leaked via a frightened anonymous nurse, who witnessed the lead surgeon screaming in the operating room about the surgical equipment being deliberately set up incorrectly. When Junior ultimately flatlined, the hospital issued a sterile, uninvestigated 2-word equation: post-operative complications. Instantly, his unreleased catalogs were hijacked, and highly profitable covers once again dominated the charts. Add up the stolen royalties, subtract the silenced victim, and the chilling math is completely solved. An exploited black artist was deemed infinitely more valuable dead than alive. How effortlessly a vibrant life is erased under the pristine guise of a medical error. Rarely, though, does the betrayal stop at the cold surgical table. Deep within the haunted bedroom of an already fading singer, a far more sinister chemical sabotage was being quietly orchestrated to plunder a broken mind. James Carr. The silent predator of schizophrenia had haunted the man with the most painful voice in soul history for decades. He was a true musical powerhouse, but behind the dazzling stage lights, his mind was a shattered mirror of paranoia and isolation. In his final days in Memphis, his psychological ghosts manifested into horrifying reality. He woke up terrified in the middle of the night, whispering that unseen forces were listening to him. Dismissed by his own family as the tragic ramblings of a broken artist, this was actually the prelude to the sudden drop. The true raw agony began when his personal mini-recorder mysteriously vanished into thin air. Then came the sinister physical toll. His daily medication tasted intensely bitter. A later sample test revealed an earth-shattering secret. His lithium levels had been toxically tripled. This was no natural decline. An invisible enemy was actively poisoning him. When he was found unconscious and dead from alleged heart failure on January 7, 2001, the systemic blade swung instantly. Before his body was even cold, a mysterious stranger arrived at his family's door, aggressively demanding the copyrights to all his unreleased recordings. They gaslit a legend, used his mental illness as the perfect cover for a chemical assassination, and then stole his legacy. His soul had effectively been murdered by an opportunistic industry long before his physical heart finally gave out. Swallowing a toxic lie in the solitude of a dark bedroom is a quiet, intimate tragedy. Collapsing under the blinding glare of thousands of screaming fans, however, elevates betrayal to a sickening public spectacle. Jackie Wilson. I was standing right next to the mixing board on September 29, 1975, engulfed in the dazzling stage lights as Mr. Excitement drove the crowd into absolute delirium. He was a true icon who could make thousands scream with just a glance. But underneath this golden illusion, he was already bleeding, bankrupted by a greedy manager and chained by an exploitative contract. Then, right in the middle of his performance, I witnessed the sudden drop. He didn't just stumble, he crashed into a 9-year nightmare of raw agony. I remember the frantic whispers backstage, the soundman claiming Jackie had tasted something mysteriously sweet in his water just moments before. That cup was never tested. The chilling speculation grew when a resuscitation doctor admitted that an inexplicable delay in providing a ventilator sealed his tragic fate. The systemic blade then sliced through whatever dignity he had left. For 9 agonizing years, he was left wasting away in a dilapidated nursing home, stripped of his wealth while his medical records were locked in a secret vault. The showbiz elite entirely abandoned him to face an invisible punishment in poverty. As the spotlight abruptly clicked off over his motionless body, it wasn't just a concert ending. It was a ruthless machine unplugging its brightest star. A body left to wither in a neglected room serves as a horrifying monument to exploitation. Yet there exists an even more agonizing cruelty when a creator is deliberately erased from the very digital archives and records they helped author. Zula Cuso. In 2013, she passed away in absolute, suffocating obscurity in Tampa, Florida. No media covered the funeral, and no medical report was ever released. Her tragic end was defined by a terrifying digital erasure. Shortly after she died, her final musical projects mysteriously vanished from her personal computer. It is a devastating contrast to the golden illusion she once inhabited. Decades earlier, Zula was a vocal powerhouse soaring through the clouds of 70s R&B, sharing the forgiving spotlight with legends like Aretha Franklin. But the systemic blade operates mercilessly in the shadows. Before the sudden drop into reclusion, a friend revealed Zula penned a letter exposing her record label for brutal copyright theft. Naturally, that dangerous document was never found. She suffered an invisible punishment, dying invisibly in an industry that first praised, then entirely erased her. Fame is merely a rented garment. Once the establishment violently reclaims it, the silence that follows is absolute. While a stolen legacy can be quietly wiped from a hard drive in an empty room, the ruthless preservation of a corporate image can alternatively force a dying idol to camouflage their failing body behind a glamorous, public facade. Minnie Riperton. She possessed a vocal range that defied human limits, hitting unimaginable high notes that crowned her the undisputed goddess of the octave. Her angelic hit, Loving You, became a global anthem, solidifying her golden illusion. Yet, at the exact zenith of this brilliant peak, the sudden drop occurred. At just 29, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, a silent predator that quickly became a merciless foe. Instead of immediate treatment, the systemic blade of fame's crushing pressure forced her into a deadly delay. Insiders believed her label prioritized protecting her flawless image and sales over her actual survival. Left wasting away, she documented her raw agony and intense fear of being entirely forgotten in her final days. However, the establishment showed no mercy. The hospital suppressed her medical details, and her final posthumous recording was ruthlessly withheld by executives. Is preserving a pristine, marketable voice truly worth sacrificing the human soul trapped beneath it? While a heavenly voice was suffocated behind the sterile, closed doors of a corporate-controlled hospital room, an entirely different kind of musical royalty was violently discarded on the unforgiving, dirty concrete outside one. David Ruffin. 2 cracked fingernails, a neck contusion, and an emptied wallet. These are not the natural symptoms of a voluntary overdose. They are the frantic markings of a man fighting for his life. David Ruffin, the irreplaceable powerhouse of the Temptations, spent his career spinning a golden illusion while rebelling against exploitative managers. In 1991, his defiance met a merciless foe. He was discovered discarded on a Philadelphia hospital doorstep, stripped of all identification. Authorities hastily labeled it a tragic relapse. Yet, follow the forensic breadcrumbs. Just hours before being dumped, David attended a party with powerful industry elites, boldly declaring he held evidence that would shake them. That boast triggered the sudden drop. The systemic blade swung with brutal efficiency. His family recognized the raw agony of an assault, pointing to physical trauma that police entirely ignored. Furthermore, a guarded personal diary containing his earth-shattering secret vanished without a trace. He wasn't merely consumed by his demons. He was subjected to a forced, lethal injection of silence. A manufactured overdose is the ultimate cover for an assassination. Leaving a bruised frontman entirely unrecognized on a dark street corner relies on brutal physical force. Conversely, erasing a founding pop queen takes nothing more than a pen stroke and an impenetrable wall of social abandonment. Florence Ballard, 32 years old, 9 years of exile, 1 denied welfare application. The mathematical equation of Florence Ballard's demise is a chilling testament to fame's crushing pressure. As the foundational powerhouse of history's greatest girl group, she generated millions of dollars, yet she was mathematically reduced to zero when she was forced out and aggressively stripped of all her contracts. She lost 100% of her royalties, tumbling completely into an invisible punishment of poverty. Her raw agony was measurable only by the deafening silence from the industry that built its very empire on her vocals. Then came the final countdown. 7 days prior to her fatal heart attack, she was severely emaciated but actively drafting an exposing memoir. When she finally collapsed in her bathroom, 0 pages were recovered. The explosive manuscript vanished seamlessly alongside a previously reported apartment break-in. The systemic blade calculates with cold efficiency. Stealing a star's wealth destroys the physical body, but erasing their final words removes their soul entirely. Starving a legend in social isolation is one brutal method of control, yet violently battering an angel right under the blinding spotlight requires a far more sinister medical masquerade. Tammy Terrell. The stage lights were blindingly bright when she collapsed into Marvin Gaye's arms, never to awaken. The official record states this 24-year-old angel simply succumbed to a fatal brain tumor, bringing a tragic end to her raw agony. But rewind from that final performance, past the golden illusion of her romantic duets, and the terrifying reality of a silent predator emerges. Long before she fainted, Tammy routinely arrived at recording studios covered in severe bruises from a violent partner. Medical professionals harbored an earth-shattering secret. These repeated head traumas likely accelerated her lethal illness. Yet, the systemic blade demanded the show continue. Management forced her to maintain a flawless facade, burying the abuse to keep the records spinning. Upon her death, personal diaries detailing this invisible punishment were swiftly locked away by executives. Marvin Gaye ultimately believed she was murdered by a machine that forced her to live a total lie. Sometimes the sweetest melodies are simply echoes of a shattered soul. While domestic violence can be conveniently swept under the rug of a tragic medical diagnosis, dismantling a powerful, independent mogul requires the sordid, bloody theater of a cheap motel room. Sam Cooke. He had conquered the impossible, achieving a historical peak that no other artist had dared to touch. As the undisputed king of soul, he achieved the ultimate golden illusion of absolute ownership by becoming the first black artist to completely control his own contracts, records, and financial empire. He stood alone at the absolute pinnacle of an industry designed to exploit him, possessing an unprecedented power that made him a massive threat to the white establishment. Then, at the breathtaking height of his untouchable reign, came the sudden drop. The king was not dethroned in a corporate boardroom. He was slaughtered in a sordid, cheap Los Angeles motel in 1964. The official narrative hastily claimed self-defense by a motel manager after a mysterious woman fled with his clothes and wallet. But the terrifying contrast of his peak to this raw agony is too glaring. Crime scene photos exposed a violently battered face and defensive scratches, proving he was severely beaten long before the fatal bullets were ever fired. The systemic blade moved swiftly to conceal the earth-shattering secret. Associates confirmed Sam was preparing to publish explosive documents exposing deep-rooted racial manipulation within the music business. Yet, the authorities instantly closed the case, entirely ignoring the missing woman and the missing whistleblowing documents. What is the true value of monumental fame if achieving absolute independence guarantees your immediate execution? A bullet in a dingy, grounded room easily dismantles an empire built on soil, but gravity itself transforms into the ultimate, inescapable assassin when a soaring legend is violently ripped directly from a freezing winter sky. Otis Redding. The establishment operates as a merciless foe against those outgrowing their cages. Otis Redding created a golden illusion of Southern soul, yet constantly battled the invisible walls of a white-dominated industry. In December 1967, the sudden drop arrived. Despite pristine weather and a veteran pilot, his plane inexplicably plummeted into a frozen lake, sparking chilling speculation. The systemic blade swung instantly, canceling his final rebellious recording. He didn't just crash, he was punished for flying too close to ultimate freedom. A shattered fuselage in icy water silences one revolutionary, yet domestic walls offer no sanctuary when the fatal shot is fired by your own flesh and blood. Marvin Gaye. The silent predator was not an external assassin. It was bred deeply within his childhood trauma. Marvin Gaye projected a golden illusion of love and rebellion, but his mind was severely tortured by religious conflict and paranoia. Before his own father fired the fatal shot in 1984, Marvin was completely consumed by raw agony, frantically crying that an unseen force was pushing him toward destruction. The sudden drop was merely the physical conclusion of a psychological haunting. He prophetically warned an assistant that he wouldn't live to see his 45th birthday. His soul was entirely dead long before the bullet ever pierced his chest. A domestic tragedy violently ends a familial bond, but the ultimate betrayal occurs when a global monarch is medically executed within a sterilized fortress. Michael Jackson. It narrows down to one milky white vial of propofol. Michael Jackson built a global golden illusion as an untouchable icon, but forensic reality exposes a silent predator. Before the sudden drop inside his mansion, he frantically warned his assistant not to trust anyone around him. Poised to dominate again with his highly anticipated comeback tour, he had simply become too dangerous for the establishment. The systemic blade flawlessly disguised a calculated elimination as a tragic medical accident. His unparalleled reign didn't naturally fade, it was abruptly terminated by a clinical, lethal injection. A sterilized needle in a billionaire's fortress acts as a highly sophisticated weapon of silence. Yet, neglected porcelain and cold water can orchestrate an equally chilling demise for an exhausted queen seeking a moment of refuge in a Beverly Hills bathtub. Whitney Houston. The entertainment machine never wanted a human being, it demanded a flawless pawn. Whitney was crowned an icon, projecting a golden illusion as the perfect model for her community. Yet, she quietly endured an invisible punishment, forced to ruthlessly suppress her true sexuality, love and vulnerability. On February 11, 2012, the systemic blade permanently struck. Discovered lifeless in a Beverly Hilton bathtub, authorities hastily blamed addiction. But the raw agony of her reality was deliberately buried. Her family insisted she was entirely sober and preparing a major stage comeback. Ignored autopsy reports of blunt physical trauma exposed an earth-shattering secret. The establishment allowed her to be snuffed out like a candle the moment she threatened their pristine narrative. True glory in Hollywood is simply a terrifying death sentence paid with your authentic soul. Their lives were far more than just chart-topping hits. They were tapestries of pain, deafening silence and unfulfilled dreams. These icons died in doubt, yet we always felt the loneliness lingering behind the stage curtains. We cannot rewrite history, but we must choose to remember them with profound gratitude. Every like and share from you is a powerful way to revive these silenced voices. Don't let the establishment erase their names. Drop a comment below and share which artist's story haunts you the most. Let their memories live on.